Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, good evening, everyone. In this chance, we would like to present our materials. It's about clouds as exchange. But before that, we would like to introduce ourselves first. My name is Hikmatyar Ramadan, and this is my partner, Mr. Tri Andika. And okay, let's begin our presentations. Here, actually, this material is very long and very detailed, but luckily, we already summarized and we only put some important points, so it will be easy to you to understand. Okay, let's proceed to the first slide. It's about the nature of dialogue. Here, the significance of clouds as exchange. It is about the relationship speakers for with a listener through the form of language. The act of speaking is something that might more appropriately be called an interact. It is an exchange in which giving implies receiving and demanding implies giving in response. Here there is a table about the significant clause. Here is there are role in exchange and community exchange. For giving, here for good and service we have over. For example, would you like a cup of tea? It means that someone offer us to have a drink, to have a cup of tea. And here is informations about statement. And we have an example. I have to make a tea myself. So it means that he or she would like to make tea by her or himself. Then we have demanding. Here, as we can see, there are command and question. For command, we have a example, make me some tea. Then for the question, what kind of tea do you prefer? So let's move to another slide. The mood element. First, structure of the mood. Mood is the subject plus finite. Subject and finite are closely linked together and combined to form on constituent, which we call the mood. The mood is the element that relies the selections of mood in clause. Next, here, as we can see, there is a table, the finite element in simple, present, and past tenses. We have simple present for the category, negative for polarity, constructive for contrast, passive voice, and here we have positive, natural, or active voice. For example, here negative in body of clause, he doesn't love. But for question tag, we can add doesn't he? I'm sorry, does he? He does love, does he? For contrastive, we have does he? Sorry, he does love, doesn't he? For passive voice, she is love, isn't she? And positive, we have, for example, he loves your present, doesn't he? Okay, we move to simple past. Here we have negative, constructive, passive, and positive. It's same with this previous cells, but we just give didn't, was, give, and change for verb to verb 2. Okay, Next, here, as we can see, subject, this is the subject, and this is the finite. If we add question tag, so you can put finite here, and we can put subject in behind of sentence. Okay, the other element of mood structure. Here we have an example. I am studying English on my PC. I as subject, am as finite, studying as predicator, English as complement, on my PC is adjunct. Okay, mood is subject, remember subject plus finite, and residue is predicator, complement, and adjunct. Okay, next we have structure of residue. For the structure of residue, there are three parts. The first is predicator. It is realized by verbal group minus the temporal or modal operator, which, as we have seen, functions as finite in the mood element. The functions of the predicator is for it is specifian time reference. Then it specifies various other aspects and phrases. Then it specifies the voice. We can use active or passive, and it specifies the process. Next, we have complement. A complement is an element within the residue that has the potential of being subject but is not. In other words, it is an element that has the potentials for being given the interpersonally elevated status of modal responsibility, something that can be the nub of the argument. And then we have agent. An agent is an element that has not got the potentials of being subject. That is, it cannot be elevated to the interpersonal status of modal responsibility. This means that arguments cannot be constructed around those elements that serve as agent. In experimental terms, they cannot be constructed around circumstances, but they can be constructed around participant, either actually as subject or potentially as complement. Okay, this is the last thing, 4.4, mood as system, further options. Here, for 0.4.1, WH interrogative. The WH element is a distinct element in interpersonal structures of the class. Its functions is to specify the entity that the questioner wishes to supply. The WH element is always conflated with one or another of the three functions, such as subject, complement, and adjunct. As we know that WH question, there are what, who, where, when, why, and how. Next, for 4.2 is exclamative. This clause have the WH element what or how in nominal or adverbial group. For example, what a beautiful view. And how terrible you are. You can put WH element here for in nominal or adverbial groups. Okay, next. 4.4.3 is imperative. The imperative has the different system or person from the indicative, since the imperative is the mode for exchanging goods and service. Its subject is you or me, or you and me. Okay, this is 4.4.4, mood and tone. Look at the table here. There's a tone, simple, and compound. There are tone 1, tone 2, until tone 5. Then for compound, there are tone 13 and 53. There is a symbol too. Okay, I will explain after this on the next slide. Here, for declarative clauses, unmarked statement, we can use tone 1. So it's falling. Then reserve statement, we can use tone 4, which means is fall rising. Insistent statement, we can use tone 5. Tentative statement, use tone 3, and protesting statement, tone 2. WH interrogative clauses, unmarked WH question, we can use tone 1. Tentative question, tone 2. Echo question, tone 2 with tonic on WH element. And yes, no interrogative clauses, unmarked yes or no question, tone 2. And for peremptory question, you can use tone 1. Here for imperative clauses, command, you can use tone 1. Invitation, tone 3. Request, we can use tone 13 with tonic on do or done. Okay, that's all my explanation, and we come to the next presenter, to Mr. Triandika. Time is yours.
Okay, thanks for this opportunity, Mr. Now. This is turn on the second presenter. This is me. My name is Tri Andika, and I will continue presents about clause as exchange. And I will start in the 4.5. Okay, next, Mr. Now. Okay, thanks. In the 4.5, it's about polarity and modality. In the polarity is the choice between positive and negative, as in is or isn't, do or done. Typically, in English, polarity is expressed in the finite element. Its finite verbal operator has two forms. The one is positive, and the example is, was, has, can, and etc. The other negative, or the second is negative. And for example is isn't, wasn't, hasn't, can't. That is this is the reason why the finite element is a thematic in a yes or no in the interrogative clause. Such as a clause is precisely a request for information regarding a polarity. It's like that discussed by Mr. Now before. And also in the polarity, we know about the proposition and proposal. The difference between proposition and proposal. Proposition, in a proposition, the meaning of positive or and negative poles is asserting or and denying. In the positive, the example is it is so, and in the negative, for example, is it isn't so. So, and then the different and the second is proposal. In a proposal, the meaning of the positive and negative pole is prescribing and proscribing. In the positive one, the example is do it, and the negative one, the example is don't do it. So we know the difference between the proposition and proposal. It's about the pole. In the proposition, asserting and denying, but in the proposal is prescribing and proscribing. And then next, in the modality, modality means or indicates a judgment of the probabilities. This is the special order may come. The special order come in the tomorrow, and it had better or bad. We place the other only in the 3 days ago. And then next in the 4.6, it's about absence of element of the modal structure. In the 4.6, for any clause, there is one choice of subjects that is unmarked, that is assumed. In the absence of evidence to the contrary, in a giving a clause, offer or statement, in the unmarked subject is I, while in demanding clause, a questions or comment, the unmarked subject is you. This means that if a clause that on other grounds can be interpreted as offer or a statement occur without a subject. So the listener will understand the subject's I. That is the subjects equal a speaker. And the principle that the subjects to be supplied in a case of ellipsis is always the modally unmarked one. I or you, according to the mode, can also be overridden by the context. Okay, next. In the and the next in the 4.7 is about clause as a subject. Up to this point, our discussion of the clauses as exchange, and we have been illustrating the subject with fairly simple in the discussion before by Mr. Now. Straightforward in the nominal group. Depending on the register, we will regularly find example of clause as subject. There are a nominal group complex consisting of 2 nominal group in paractetic in the relation. And the pause modifier in the nominal group function as a subject is called defining relative clauses. This is the last point in the clause as exchange. In the 4.8, it's text. The subject is the open upon which the speaker rests in his case in excess of the information, and the one responsible for ensuring that the prescribed action is or are not carried out in the exchange of goods and exchange of goods and service. This is the example of sentence like that discussed before in the example from Mr. Now. Pandas eats bamboo, and the comment, don't they? We have exclamation mark, question mark here. Don't they? And then I will, in the second sentence, I will make some tools. So we have questions. It's about like a request. And then turn the radio down. Will you? It's about comment again. Comment for the speaker. In this example of sentence, we know that pandas, I, and you as a subject are the ones on which validity are the ones is meant to rest in its clause in turn. Give a note that validity doesn't equal the truth. For example, Turkish eats bamboo. We know that the Turkish is not not eat a bamboo, but the other one is like feet. And then Turkish as a subject, even though this statement is untrue. Yes, because Turkish in the sentence, Turkish eat a bamboo, Turkish as a subject. Okay, I think this is the the end of our presentation. And Mr. Now, thank you for this opportunity to collaborate with you, deliver this discussion today or tonight about class exchange in the SFL class. And Mr. Now, any addition for you?
And I and I thank you to Andika, Mr. Andika, for collaborating our project tonight. So
Mr. Now.
okay, so let's close our presentations. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for your attention. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum